What's good? It's your boy Jlucas Nutrition. Today we'll be talking about the top supplements to help build muscle. Number 1, protein, the foundation of the diet. Also can be beneficial to support building muscle tissue. We need to increase our protein more than that by which we would if we were sedentary, not as physically active. So generally, people might eat between 0.8 to 1.2 grams of protein per day. For those looking to build muscle, you might want to go up to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram per day. So take your weight, divide it by 2.2, and multiply it by 2.2. And that'll give you the grams of protein you need per day. It might be tough to get your protein from your foods at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So a protein shake taken before your workout, after your workout, or between meals as a snack can help you to meet your overall protein goal. Now, when it comes to supplemental protein, there's going to be some different sources that you can choose from. Everyone may be familiar with whey protein. Whey comes from milk. 20% of milk is whey. Whey is one of the highest quality protein sources known to man. It's very rich in those essential amino acids that are the building blocks for muscle tissue. But there might be some folks that are lactose intolerant, may not want to consume a dairy-based product. That's where you can use something like a plant-based protein, like soy protein, for example, or hemp pea-based blend. But when you're looking at the protein source, it's important to use something of high quality that can help to support protein synthesis after your workout. We also have casein, which is known as the nighttime protein. Casein, also coming from dairy, makes up 80% of dairy, like your milk. It's the slow digesting protein which can help with reducing muscle loss, say when you're sleeping overnight. It generally takes about 3 hours for protein to be digested and broken down from your GI tract and delivered to your muscle tissue. So when looking to build muscle, you want to provide a consistent pulse of protein during breakfast, snacks, lunch, snacks, and dinner. And before bed, you can take casein as a way to help build muscle tissue while you're sleeping and you're in a state of fasting where you're not getting those amino acids being delivered to the muscle tissue for continual growth and reduction of muscle loss. Because with protein, it's not stored in the body. It's actually a whole body protein metabolism where you give some amino acids from the skeletal muscle and then you use some of the protein that's consumed to support muscle tissue and other metabolic functions. The longer you go without consuming protein, the greater the probability that you're going to lose muscle, which will make it harder for you to build if you're trying to gain that lean body mass. Now, the second supplement is creatine. I know creatine may get a bad rep. The name kind of sounds a little bit negative in itself, creatine. Well, I can tell you, I actually have tried creatine when I was in about 10th grade. And I was interested in taking creatine even in middle school. It was popular, people were taking it. And this is actually what got me into whole sports nutrition to begin with. People were demonizing creatine like it was a bad thing, but I wanted to kind of figure out what was this about. I was an athlete and I wanted to see if I can get a competitive advantage. Well, creatine is one of the most researched supplements on the market. There are over 1,000 studies that are published to date. Creatine, how it works basically is it increases something called the adenosine triphosphate, which is one of the highest energy sources that we call on when we're doing high intensity exercises, like say bench press. You're doing it for less than 30 seconds, so your body needs that continual phosphate to help with the production of muscle contraction. So when you're taking the creatine, you're building up those stores of phosphate, which are making that source of energy readily available so that you can do more reps, more sets. It also has an ability to help support overall muscle growth when you're doing a resistance training exercise. So definitely take creatine, start with 5 grams per day. I know people were concerned about water in creatine, but I can guarantee you that if you do a dose at 5 grams of creatine monohydrate, which is the best source of creatine known to man, once a day at minimum for 30 days, you'll get some potential benefit. Now, everyone responds differently. because you have a certain baseline amount of creatine in your muscle, depending on your genetics and other factors, your diet. So there's not always 100% chance that you'll respond to creatine supplementation, but give it a try. There's no risk factors, and it may help to support your goal for muscle building. Particularly if you're not eating a diet rich in animal protein sources, you may definitely benefit more from creatine in that circumstance. Next up, we have branched chain amino acids. Now this one is kind of controversial as well. You'll probably see some literature out there saying that it really doesn't help to support muscle building. Well, I think it all depends on what branched chain amino acid product you're taking. Again, there's a lot of discrepancies in supplements that you may take. And you can go somewhere to find out more information like labdoor.com, which is a very credible website that checks all supplements, and you can find what might be the number one product based upon their analysis. The reason why quality is important is because it's how much of each amino acid is in the product, which may have a role. Well, first off, what does branched chain amino acid do? The branched chains have a specific chemical structure which are utilized by the skeletal muscle tissue. They bypass the liver in digestion and go straight to the periphery. And those amino acids are specifically used as an energy source during physical activity. So again, it may help to support the fueling of your workout while you're looking to build muscle. Again, building muscle is so multifactorial. You have your rest, you have your diet, and then you have your workout. So these supplements are going to power your workout and help to support recovery so that you can get back into the gym, put more weight onto the bench, etc., so that you can build that muscle tissue. I'm personally a big advocate for taking branched chain amino acids. For one, it's a product that you can take during your workout to help with supporting hydration. It's also been shown to reduce something called central fatigue, which is when you first start working out, there's something called albumin that helps support the circulation of certain metabolites throughout your body. The albumin is attached to tryptophan, which is another type of amino acid. You probably heard about it during Thanksgiving, right? People say, you eat tryptophan, you get tired. Well, tryptophan is a precursor to serotonin, which is that sleepy neurotransmitter. Now, when you take the branched chain amino acids during exercise, what happens is the branched chain amino acids compete at the brain with tryptophan so that you get less increase in tryptophan in the brain. That therefore keeps you physically active because you don't get the false sense of fatigue due to a high level of tryptophan. What happens basically when you start first exercising, the tryptophan releases from the albumin because there's now free fatty acids that need to be circulated throughout your bloodstream to be delivered to support energy source. So when tryptophan becomes free, that's when you get more serotonin release. But if you take the branched chain amino acids, they'll compete for uptake, slowing absorption. So we got hydration, we got reduction in central fatigue, but then the number 3 component is leucine, which is an essential branched chain amino acid, and it's the captain of all amino acids. Without adequate leucine, there's a potential suppression in muscle protein synthesis. The body needs at least 2.5 grams of leucine to stimulate muscle protein synthesis. And there's a threshold up to 5 grams of leucine per dose that can optimize muscle protein synthesis. When you look closely at the protein sources that you may be consuming, there's a certain amount of leucine you'll find in those food sources. Some might be leucine free, some might have a very low dose, and some may be higher. If you're looking to build muscle, choose the products that have a higher percentage of leucine in a perspective of isoleucine and valine. It should be a 2 to 1 to 1 ratio. That may help with muscle building over time and supporting protein synthesis. And specifically during, say, snacks or even with your meals, if you're not eating a very high quality protein source, you can consume branched chain amino acids with your meals or between meals to help further support the pool of availability of amino acids to support muscle tissue over time. So that pretty much wraps up the 3 recommended supplements that I have for building muscle tissue in conjunction with your diet and your physical activity regimen. Protein, creatine, branched chain amino acids. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you have any further questions. Shoot me an email, and I'll see you in the gym.